Please watch this video after my video called Mapungubwe and Mapesu. This is a follow-up of that video and will not make sense unless you watch that video first. The link is in the description below. Thank you. Mapungubwe Reconsidered: Indo-African Interactions in Ancient Mining and Cultural Exchange. An examination of Professor Hromnick's Indo-Africa and the South Asian influence on early Southern African civilizations. Introduction. Please note that I have not written this as a professional dissertation and will provide no references. These are available to interested parties who can find them online or in libraries. This essay has been written by Dr. Clint Kane and is based on knowledge having spoken to archaeologists many years ago during his time in the then Rhodesian Defense Forces at Great Zimbabwe, many research documents, as well as Professor Cyril Hromnick's book, Indo-Africa, towards a new understanding of the history of sub-Saharan Africa. I am not an archaeologist, and my doctorate is merely research based in technical fields. So, for these purposes, I am just an informed layman. Mapungubwe, located in South Africa's Limpopo province, is recognized as an archaeological site of extraordinary relevance, offering insights into early socio-political complexity and trans-regional trade in southern Africa, flourishing, so they say, between the 11th and 13th centuries. Mapungubwe developed advanced gold mining and trading practices, which in all likelihood came from Indian explorers. Recent scholarship, notably Professor Indo-Africa, invites a critical reassessment of these origins by proposing significant South Asian Indian involvement, a perspective that stands in marked contrast to prevailing narratives. Traditional narrative: indigenous innovation in Mapungubwe and Great Zimbabwe. The dominant scholarly framework has more recently credited the achievements of Mapungubwe and Great Zimbabwe to the ingenuity and enterprise of local African communities. This model emphasizes locally developed mining techniques and complex social structures, with external influences regarded as marginal. This author disputes this. The gold trade is understood to have spurred state formation and fostered connections with the Swahili coast, the Middle East, and other distant regions. Yet the role of foreign agents in mining activities remains understated. The above is an insult to our Bantu, as, if true, then this suggests that they regressed rather than advanced in a cultural and technological sense, since no buildings before or after were built in the styles used in Great Zimbabwe and Mapungubwe. Indians typically used variations of these building styles wherever they went, as stated below, and even in India. It is well known that before white or colonial settlement in southern Africa, there were Indian traders. Indian traders were part of the extensive Indian Ocean trade network, which connected India, the Middle East, East Africa, and Southeast Asia long before white settlement in southern Africa. These traders are thought to be remnants of the early Indian miners and explorers that left after the gold ran out. While the main hubs of Indian trade on the African continent were along the Swahili coast, further north in modern-day Kenya, Tanzania, and Mozambique, there is evidence of these trade links reaching into southern Africa. Their main port was the ancient town and port of Sofala, east of Mapungubwe in Mozambique. In addition, the link relating to the Shona people used at Mapungubwe as workers of the Indian miners lends this author to believe that Great Zimbabwe was mined before Mapungubwe, and they brought their trusted and trained workers to Mapungubwe to continue with their mining operations until the gold ran out, not climate change. Please take note. that Indians settled and developed substantial networks in various other countries as mentioned below, and in the case of Vietnam, were later moved on by local Vietnamese to where they settled in Cambodia. South Indians were well settled in Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, Burma, the Malay Peninsula, and the islands of Sumatra, Java, and Bali in Indonesia, and even Bhutan to a degree. Indeed, they used to take who we now call Indonesians along on many exploration voyages, perhaps as laborers. In addition, many of the Indian Ocean islands were settled by Indians as a result of shipwrecks and later growth as top-up stations for food and requirements by Indian exploration ships. Professor Hromnick's thesis, South Asian Indian Agency in Mining and Trade Contravening, Established and Unproven Views. Professor Hromnick's Indo-Africa posits that South Asian Indians were instrumental in the development of mining operations at Mapungubwe and Great Zimbabwe, drawing on an interdisciplinary array of evidence, archaeological, linguistic, and historical. The thesis argues that Indian traders and mining specialists made substantive contributions to local gold extraction and processing. Professor Hromnick contends that Indian presence in southern Africa predated colonial incursions, with their expertise influencing technological advancement and economic practices. Supporting evidence, archaeological, linguistic, and cultural indicators. Hromnick's research identifies convergences in mining techniques and tools between Mapungubwe and contemporary South Asian sites, suggesting a transfer of technical knowledge. Trade route analyses reveal the likelihood of sustained Indian Ocean exchange, with Indian merchants potentially establishing settlements and imparting specialized skills. Furthermore, the presence of loanwords related to mining and commerce within local languages, as well as South Asian stylistic elements in artifacts and architecture, strengthen Professor Hromnick's argument for meaningful cultural interaction. The gold rhino, artifact analysis, and Asian symbolism. Among the most emblematic artifacts uncovered at Mapungubwe is the gold rhino, meticulously crafted from gold leaf. While traditionally interpreted as a local symbol of status, Hromnick advances a compelling alternative. The figurine bears a notable resemblance to the rhinoceros unicornus native to the Indian subcontinent. The anatomical precision and stylistic choices evident in the artifact suggest knowledge of or contact with South Asian fauna and artistic conventions. Hromnick further hypothesizes that this gold rhino may have been presented as a diplomatic gift by Indian traders or miners to a local chief, signifying both economic partnership and cultural exchange. Local Bantu have an uncanny ability to record accurate details in their carvings, and this would be reflected in the rhino having two horns, not one, such as it has, since both the white and the black rhino have two horns. Contrasts and implications. Rethinking Southern African history. Professor Hromnick's thesis challenges the dominant paradigm of exclusively indigenous innovation, advocating instead for a more cosmopolitan interpretation of early mining and trade. Should this perspective gain acceptance, necessitate a revised understanding of Mapungubwe and Zimbabwe as of both internal development and international collaboration. Interdisciplinary research thus emerges as vital in reconstructing the intricate of relationships in Southern Africa's historical trajectory. Conclusion: the history of when viewed through the lens of Indo-Africa becomes a tale of the interconnectedness of ancient societies and continents. By recognizing the potential contributions of South Asians to mining and culture, life, scholars are encouraged to adopt a more inclusive, nuanced approach in historiography. The gold rhino, echoing the Asian unicorn, stands as a powerful symbol of these transoceanic interactions. Continued openness to alternative perspectives is essential in advancing understanding of Africa's rich and complex past. This considers that the current narrative of climate change causing the demise of the Mapungubwe site to be a false narrative based on the current fascination, which is entirely fabricated. The demise of Mapungubwe and Great Zimbabwe is really because the gold ran. This is evidenced in no mining continued after the Indians vacated. No evidence of gold reserves in either area found by this author. No Bantu royal bloodline or aristocracy, just chiefs that were fortunate enough to allow Indians to share information in their areas for gold. Also, ivory and other of the time were traded. Thank you for listening. Comments will be appreciated.